I see you. I love you for being bold and brave and courageous in this new year. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first live of 2022. I don't know how many people are actually going to tune in live because I did not announce that I was doing this. Well, I kind of did, but it's been a minute. I usually remind people on Sundays, and I did not do that. But I see some people joining now. Welcome, everybody. Yay. So this is just a welcome back live. Not going to get too deep tonight. Just want to talk about what's new, what's been going on with you in 2022 so far. Yes, I like to rhyme. And share a few announcements and a few updates. But y'all know how I usually do. Let me know where you're tuning in from, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like where you are. So I'll start with some announcements, and the biggest one is that I've changed the day and time for my lives. So I used to have a really loyal crew who would tune in on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Central Time. So hopefully they'll be able to rejoin me because I got really attached to those folks. And so this is going to be the new time going forward. Monday evenings at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Yeah. Jendelle Kirk says cold and on here from New York City. Yay! Welcome to New York. So that's my second announcement. Actually, it's going to be my third, but I'll make it my second announcement, is that I am currently in New York City for the time being. So a lot has changed for me in the past year. I left Illinois, and the plan was originally to move to New York City, but I decided to do long-term travel instead. So I'm going to travel the world. That's the plan. Anyone who subscribes to my email newsletter already knows all this, but the first stop was New York City, and so I want to spend at least a month in every city that I travel to, and so I'm going to be in New York for a few months, actually, because I've always dreamed of living in Brownstone in Harlem, so I'm making my dreams come true in 2022. So we have someone from Frizzy from France. Hey, welcome from France. So I actually want to make Paris one of the cities that I go to in the near future. So fingers crossed. I want to do London and then take the train to Paris for a little while. Let's see where other people are from. Hey, yes, I'm back. I am back. Welcome to NYC. Thank you, Dimples Music and Shoes. Once the weather gets a little warmer, I want to do some coffee meetups and see some folks. I know a lot of people in New York City. Actually, New York City is the place where I have the largest percentage of my followers, right? On Instagram, anyway. And then the second largest city is London. So I'm I got to at least go to those two cities this year and meet some folks. So it's really been fun so far. I got here on Saturday. So if you're just tuning in and you'd like to share where you're watching from, let me know in the comments. And then the other third thing that I want to say, just in terms of the new rhythm, the new routine for the new year, is that the podcast and the YouTube and the blog posts are still going to be weekly, and I'm going to continue to publish those on Wednesday. So last year I did the lives on Tuesday, and then I would publish the YouTube and podcasts either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. And so I'm going to do the lives on Monday evening, edit and schedule the podcast to go up on Wednesday morning. So those of you who are listening to the recording, listening to the playback, that's where those will be. And of course, I'll still save these to Instagram TV, IGTV, for anyone who wants to watch the recordings on Instagram. And I do have a schedule, so I'll give you a little preview of how I imagine the year to go. I do plan to continue to bring on interview guests from time to time. So if you're one of those people who wants to come on and talk about colorism or a related topic, I welcome that. Just send me an email or DM. Email is better. I will definitely see emails before I see DMs. But I kind of want to talk about the concentric circles of healing. So in the first quarter of the year, I'm going to be focusing a lot on the individual aspect of colorism, how we can heal from it on a personal level, how we can retrain our implicit biases, how we can do our inner work, right? And so that we don't perpetuate harm against ourselves or others. And then even just so we can continue to heal. And then in the second quarter, I'm going to talk about relationships. So families, friends, intimate partnerships, romantic partnerships, community, right? Like church, family, or, social organizations. So really looking at our communities and our local groups. And then in the latter half of the year, second half of the year, I'm going to be talking about the institutional and the systemic, the society-wide impacts of colorism and what we can do on a society level in terms of addressing and healing that issue. Thank you, Jandel Crutch, for buying a badge. Yes, so badges are still a thing. It's been so long. I took a long break from my lives, 2 months, which is about like 8 weeks of live streams. And I really needed the rest. I did. I needed the break because as much as I love engaging with you all live and talking to you all live, it does take a lot of preparation time. I do care deeply about this virtual space. And so it also is emotional labor as well. And also in terms of like also having to think, because I always like to respond to your questions and read your comments and really engage. So it does take a lot of energy. So I recuperated last 2 months of the year so I could come back really strong this year. So that's what's ahead. And the other big thing in terms of colorism healing in 2022 is that part of the big change that I made is I resigned from my full-time professorship at a university in Illinois. And so I'm doing colorism healing full-time now, folks. Yes, that means more speaking engagements, more workshops, more content, more books. One thing I'm actively promoting now is a workbook for children, or for children at heart, because adults kind of enjoy it too, that I published in 2018. So yes, like 2018, I put out a children's workbook, and it's crazy because most of the people who follow me don't know anything about it. So I'm starting the year off by saying like, I did this thing. I made this thing 3 or 4 years ago, and it's useful and it's really good. It has 5 out of 5 stars on Amazon. So check it out. But I definitely have a journal that I just put out with prompts that I've written over the years, right? So I've been doing this since 2011. I started blogging about colorism for the first time. And then in 2013, I launched Colorism Healing officially. So over that time, I have tons of like questions and journal prompts and writing prompts, and I've compiled them all into one place, into a journal that people can use. So this is me like making that first announcement, but I'll do more official posts on Instagram later as well. All right. So hello, folks. Hello from Fayetteville, North Carolina. This is Blue Dragonfly. Welcome. I definitely remember that screen name. So like I said, I'm not sure if the same crowd will be able to join me on Monday nights that was so loyal on Tuesday afternoons, but this will actually give me a chance to meet some new folks, right? To bring in some new live viewers in the new year, right? We got Miami in the house. What's up, Miami? We got Baltimore in the house. Hey, Baltimore. I have a friend who's in Maryland right now. I don't know if they're in Baltimore. Are they in Maryland or DC? They're in the DMV area, and they plan to come visit me in New York at some point. So what's up, Baltimore? Yeah, let's see who else is on here. So usually if you're just tuning in, and if this is your first live, let me know. I usually ask people to just let me know where they're watching from and what the weather is like where they are. Janelle Crush says, we'll still be here, the loyal crew. Yes, I hope so. And I'm gonna get back to announcing the topics and reminding people about the time on Sundays. But the consistent time will be 6 p.m. Central Time on Monday evenings. So just remember that. And again, if you can't be there for the whole live, I do recordings and playbacks. One thing I wanted to leave you all with, so this is really quick. If anyone has any questions, let me know what your mantras are, what your New Year's resolutions. Does anyone else have plans or significant things that have changed for you in the new year? Let's catch up a little bit because it's been so long since I've talked to y'all live. But one of the things I want to leave you all with are my mantra for the new year. So I'm one of those people, I like mantras. I know people are iffy about New Year's resolutions, but in the past, I used to have like a single word, like one word. And for me, for a long time, that word was courage. So it's one of my core values in life and in work is courage. You need courage. Maya Angelou said, courage is the most important virtue because it's required to execute all the other virtues consistently, right? And so courage has always been important to me. And last year for 2021, remember, because I like rhymes and alliteration, for 2021, my mantra was getting it done in 2021. And so in 2022, it's kind of similar. And yes, I kind of stole this from Ray Charles, but I'm going to make it do what it do in 2022. So that's my new mantra. And I like those better than resolutions because they're positive and like upbeat and motivational rather than being restrictive. Like don't eat sugar or, don't stay up late, right? So they kind of motivate me to stay focused and stay on track. Says K-Drama Oma, hey, welcome back. Yay, Michelle, so good to see you. I was just saying, I hope some of the folks from Tuesday afternoons can tune in on Monday evenings as well. But the West Coast, wet and cold, really? Yeah, I remember when I lived in San Francisco, it was pretty wet and cold. I used to say California, and people were like, oh, it must be so sunny and beautiful in California. And I was like, maybe Southern California, but like the rest of the state gets really, really cold and like cloudy or whatever. But welcome from the West Coast. Let's see. All right. And so the other thing I'll leave you all with, if no one else wants to share or pose questions or let me know what you're up to in the new year, is reflections and affirmations. So I started doing this for a little bit in 2021, and then I kind of started forgetting to include them at the end. So now I'm going to get back to and leaving you all at the end of every live with a reflection or like a prompt or like some kind of something to think about, right? Like a question, and then also affirmations. I also say too, like if you subscribe to my monthly newsletter, I leave affirmations there as well. And so, my question is very basic. Like I said, I didn't want this to be a super deep first live. I want to kind of ease us back in, right? Ease us back in. Although next week, just a heads up, I'll be talking about colorism as an explicit bias. The explicit biases, the explicit language, the explicit actions that people take in terms of colorism. Because a lot of times I hear people say, oh, they didn't mean anything by it, or they didn't even realize it. I'm like, that's true. There are people who don't know that they are perpetuating colorism, but there are lots of people who do know. And so I want to talk about the obvious, explicit, very direct cases of colorism, what they look like, why they occur, why they happen, and that sort of thing. So really going to be taking you through a journey in 2022, in terms of unpacking and digging deeper into the concentric layers of colorism. But my reflection to you all, again, just like I was saying, is what's new for you in 2022? I do think that I'm a firm believer in goals. That's actually one of the books that I'm working on. It's like a goal tracker, or goal setting workbook. And I think a lot of times we get so caught up in what tasks, what obligations, what responsibilities are given to us, right, are kind of handed to us, that we can lose sight of what it is we actually want, right? We can lose sight of what are the obligations and tasks that are actually going to get me closer to my vision rather than executing someone else's vision, right? And so that's been a big area for me that has helped me, get to where I am, is that I'm like, yeah, these are responsibilities that my job gives me, or these are what like my friends and family are asking me to do, or complete strangers are asking me to do, emailing me stuff. And so I can do some of those, but I prioritize the tasks that are leading me towards my dream and my vision as well. So yeah, let me know. And in terms of, communicating with me, obviously I love the lives, but comments, emails, DMs, especially if we've already DM'd. If I have never DM'd with you before, there's a chance I might not see it. I'm just being honest, because the DMs are like an abyss sometimes, and like messages kind of get lost in the muck. So apologies if you've ever sent me a DM and I did not see it or respond. But also, this question is tied to the question of what's new. And that is what remains the same, right? So like what's new, and then what are you going to stick with in 2022? Like what are you actually going to carry forward and persist with in 2022? And so obviously for me, like what remains is my dedication to colorism healing, my dedication to providing you all with information, inspiration, value in any form that I can. What remains the same, is the mentoring that I love to do with students in high school and college. The coaching, I'm still offering coaching. I'm still doing my live streams, teaching workshops, doing trainings at companies and workplaces on colorism in the workplace. So all of that is going to be the same. Yes, there's a new date and time for the live streams, but you're still going to see me, right? So that's the same for me. So let's look and see. You all have been sharing some things. Let's see what's going on. Okay. Saint Comey, welcome back. Welcome back. Says not using substances to cope with colorism. I'm feeling the feelings, good and bad. Honey, yes. Can we celebrate that? I absolutely love that. Actually, I was listening to a virtual church on Sunday with my sister. My sister came up with me to New York to help me get settled in. And so she was pulled up her preacher's sermon for that day. And he was talking about using substances to escape, right? That type of escapism. And sometimes it's a substance. Other times it's a behavior, right? Like sometimes it's, every time I feel bad, I overeat, or I, binge watch some TV program, or oversleep, or I, engage in other kinds of behaviors that aren't helping me to solve the problem, right? And I did a live last year about the difference between self-care and escapism, right? I think there's a fine line sometimes between doing things to care for our mental health and doing things that are going to be a form of escapism that don't help us solve the problems in the end, right? So I'm right there with you. I see you. I love you for being bold and brave and courageous in this new year. And if I can support in any way, let me know. Hey, Barry and Co. Y'all gotta check out Barry and Co. We met on TikTok and she is so cool. Oh my gosh. And she can sing too. Hey, Sarah Bestwell. Welcome back. Let's see. Brown Skin Bree. Hey, what's up? My goal in 2022 is to believe my worth. Lord have mercy. Let me pause on that. Believe my worth. Oh. I had huge falling outs in 2021 with friends due to colorism. It made me feel less than. I'm going into the new year refusing to believe that anymore. Brown Skin Bree, we celebrate with you, fam. Like, we see you, we love you for making that move, making that decision for yourself. Listen, it really started in 2020 for me, the self-worth piece. And I actually wrote this in a blog post that's going to publish with this video, but it's so funny to me how in 2020, I realized that as much as I loved myself, there was more to love, right? There was more loving I had left to do. As much as confident as I was, like there was more confidence to be had, right? And when I think about like what I almost settled for in 2020, I was like, you might not have the depths of self-worth that you thought you had, right? And that's really hard to like face and to think about. Because I had already been doing colorism healing, I had already been talking about self-love and self-esteem. And for the most part, people would look at me and be like, oh yeah, she's got the self-confidence, the self-love thing together. But I think in this one area of my life, I think there was a large deficit or a really big hole in terms of self-worth, right? Because sometimes we might have a lot of self-worth when it comes to our career, or a lot of self-worth when it comes to our bodies, right? But maybe not as much self-worth when it comes to relationships or friendships, right? And so it's definitely, I say self-love is a spectrum, like an ongoing journey. It's a lifelong discovery, right? So I feel you on that. Saint Comey says, new year, new friends. Whew, go Bree. Yes. Sarah Bessel says, hi, so glad baby went down early enough to join. Woohoo! Missed you all. Happy New Year. Yay. I definitely miss y'all. Jendelle Crutch says, persist with chilling out, aka having more balance in all aspects of life. Yes, finding the perfect balance for yourself and for your life and for your dream of what your life should be is very important, right? And for anyone who doesn't already know, Jendelle Crutch is my sister, my big sister. And so, yeah, I have enjoyed spending the past 4 months with you all in Texas. And I just want to say, like, I see you, sis, like how full your life is. Like, you have a really full life. And we've said it before, like, you know, my sister is married with 2 kids, has like a full-time job as a college professor. And I'm just like, girl, I don't know how you do it. Or like, I don't know if I'm ever going to have kids or if I, you know, really want kids at the end of the day, but I'm glad I don't have any right now. I'm just going to say that. So more power to you. Barry & Co. says, new equals more rest. What remains equals my writerly life. Loving on my people. Yay! Because I remember Barry & Co. made a big career move recently too in order to pursue your dream as a writer. And so I love that you're carrying that passion forward, right? And of course, loving on our folks is just icing on the cake. Brown Skin Bree says, thank you, Saint Comé, needing the support. Wishing you good habits and healing. Yes, I am in New York now. I got here on Saturday. So I'm in Harlem in a really great location. I dreamed of Harlem. When I was in middle school or high school, I recorded on VHS. So this will tell you how long ago it was. It was a VHS cassette tape. I recorded a walking tour on PBS of Harlem, right? And so they were going to all these buildings where like famous African-American legends had gone and lived and worked and played. And I was just like, I gotta get to Harlem. So I'm here. Let's see. Sarah Bessel says, self-care versus escapism. Never thought about it this way, but it is the truth. Yeah. There were some others. Let's see. Speak on it. Brown Skin Bree says, my daughter's even darker than me and listening in with me. This is so great for her to hear. Thank you for speaking truths and helping us heal. Oh, see, this is why I'm so glad to be back. Oh, so glad to be back. Yes, it's going to be a good year. At least, if nothing else in 2022 goes well, you know, I think it will. But if this is the only thing in 2022 that is like great, then it's pretty great, I must say. These lives every week, hearing your stories, like connecting with y'all in real time is like definitely one of the highlights of my week. Now, what that says about, you know, my week, I don't know, but y'all are so special to me. Says OMG, yay, I'm in Brooklyn. This was my first year living outside of Texas. I love it. Hey, that's so cool. Like, I was just in Texas and I like am in New York. So that's really cool. I don't know, like, if people do a lot of meetups when the weather's this cold, but I'm totally down to like grab coffee with any of my New York folks. So just, y'all know how to reach me. Thank you, Sarah Bestwill, for the badge. Thank you so much for the support. All right, folks. So this was beautiful. This is exactly what I wanted. Like, just let's catch up. Let's touch base. Let's see what's new in 2022. Let's see what we're carrying forward and keeping the same, you know, because if it ain't broke, if it's working great, like let's, you know, refine and grow and develop, but let's stick with it. And so the affirmation I have for you all this week is that everything before this moment is fuel for my journey ahead. And let me tell y'all, I've said this before, but I'm one of those people where I actively use the tips and strategies that I give to other people, right? So when I talk about affirmations, like I am a ambassador of affirmations because of what they've meant for me personally and my personal journey. And that particular affirmation, everything before this moment is fuel for my journey ahead. I think about the mistakes I made recently, the poor choices I made recently, the past 3 years and how traumatic it was, like the racial trauma, the interpersonal trauma I've experienced, and I can be bitter, right? I'm like really tempted to just sit and seethe about the past 3 years, okay? And just like go off and like spend the rest of my life venting, right? And so now I'm like actively trying to say, okay, everything before this moment can fuel the better, more beautiful future that I see ahead of me. And so I don't know if that's useful for any of you, but maybe if it's not today, maybe tomorrow you might think about this affirmation and say, yes, I can actually use that as well. Yes. Yay. All right. So again, next week, if you're just tuning in, I'm going to start off the year with the more official live streams where I do a little bit more teaching or coaching. And we're going to be looking at like explicit instances of colorism that is direct, obvious, in your face. And then the third week, the week after that, I'm going to be talking about implicit colorism. So just giving y'all a preview. Again, this time of the evening, Mondays at 6 p.m. Central Time, will be the new regular time. And the podcast and YouTube videos will still come out on Wednesday mornings. And be on the lookout for all of the books and workbooks and journals and notebooks that I'm putting out over the next several months. I have like been delightfully creating these things. I have some like adult coloring books with affirmations in them, and I just like have so much fun making them. It's so nice to finally be able to just go all in on my like creative expression and in a way that is uplifting and helpful for people. So I'm excited about that. And I'll see y'all next week. Oh wait, hold on, there's some more comments. K-Drama Oma says, I'm working on letting go of past harms and bitterness. Right? Right. Yes. Same boat. We are here. Yes. All right. Love y'all so much. Mwah. And I'll see y'all next week.